Hi everybody, my name is Liz Rivera. I'm the Gem State Medium. Welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about haunted hotels. I know the last time I did a video, it was kind of about wanting to get back to doing overnight events at haunted hotels that are usually notoriously haunted, which is always great, exciting fun. So right after I got done doing the video about the haunted hotels and stuff, I had a friend get a hold of me and say I really needed to watch the new Netflix series, miniseries, I guess, on The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And, you know, obviously it was all about Elisa Lam. And I thought I had pretty much seen everything there was to see on the Cecil Hotel. But this was really enlightening into the true nature of what I think the Cecil Hotel is. Now, we've all heard tons of stories on the hundreds and hundreds of deaths that have happened at the Cecil Hotel over time. But I think one thing that this video really helped me to understand was the gravity of this hotel, and then it's not quite like any others that are out there. Basically, in my opinion, what I saw and felt from watching this video was that the Cecil Hotel has developed its own personality, its own self, its own entity unto itself. You've got this building that is a haunting sort of being itself that I believe has become almost hungry for more people. Plus, then you have all the people who have passed, and I don't mean like all of them. I'm sure some of them have moved on or they were able to get away, but there's an awful lot of ghosts in the building as well. So that's what creates this double layer. And what I think the building is honestly doing is if you get somebody in this building that is having issues of any sort, whether it is, you know, anger issues, drug issues, mental health issues, if you go into this building, I think the building is going to try to play on that. And if it can get you to tip, it's going to do that, and it's going to push you. I don't want to go completely overboard and say that it's possessing people, but I sure think that it can sway somebody who may have been violent and bad temper all along, but in that hotel, in that environment, I think the hotel can kind of add that extra agitated state that's going to tip somebody over into, say, murder. As we saw with Elisa Lam, she had some mental health issues. She had been taking medication, she'd been going to school, she was, had some problems, but she was managing. And she stayed in this hotel, and it just got worse and worse to the point where they had to move her to a different room because her roommates were complaining, to where she just straight stopped taking her meds and then started having these delusions. As I watched the video of her in the elevator, I was really taken by her body movements, her actions, and all of everything she's doing in there. And the one thing that's said over and over again is she is talking to somebody, her hand gestures, her movements and things. Yes, it could have been the delusion she was having, in my opinion, and what I saw and felt. I believe that there were also very possibly ghosts. It reminded me of, the movie The Shining, where, he starts interacting with the people in the building. I think she was in that state of mind that they really just messed with her even more so. And she was tipped over the edge and ended up in the water tanks. I think it's also notable that that hotel in particular was able to draw in people like Richard Ramirez and the other serial killer. Is he from Australia, I believe? So yeah, I think there is a lot of stuff at play at the Cecil Hotel. You've got the ghosts, you've got the serial killer stopping by because it seems like a safe place, for them to be able to move and come and go. And, so that was my take on the Cecil Hotel and what I had seen. So all this haunted hotel talk made me want to make this video for all of you, because people say haunted hotel and then you automatically go to someplace like the Cecil or the Stanley Hotel, these notoriously haunted hotels. It's not always the case. And in fact, I think you would be really surprised to know how many hotels are haunted. And in fact, I would say a vast majority of hotels are haunted. At least one ghost. It just is. And it's what I've seen and witnessed and my experience in different hotels. This is why I think so many of these hotels end up becoming haunted. Again, the vast majority, even the newer hotels. Let's just start with how much energy is around hotels and in hotels. And the reason being is where they're being built. For obvious reasons. I mean, you want to put a hotel right downtown where you've got all the hustle and bustle, all the foot traffic, you've got lots of cabs, lots of event centers, restaurants, just in the thick of things. So not only do you have the steady stream of people coming and going from hotels, you also have that excitement that comes with them. They're excited to be on vacation. They're excited to get to their next destination. All that pent up anxiousness, excitement, bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, maybe sadness flying home for a funeral, dread, wanting to be home. It builds after a while. A lot of these hotels also have like event rooms and people gathering and all that energy for perhaps some conventions or some smaller concerts, venues, weddings, all sorts of things. That energy is created and then it gets trapped in the walls over time and in the hotel. Eventually, between all the people coming and going, the motions, the things that are going on, you can end up with a residual haunt. So even though you pass by the event center doors and there's nothing going on in there, there shouldn't be, I'd be willing to bet that an awful lot of staff, people working at hotels, eventually will start hearing the music playing or people talking, movement, open the doors and there's nobody in there. That's how you really end up with the notorious residual haunts of, they're always talking about in old buildings about the ballroom. I could hear music coming from the ballroom or people having a party. That's the residual. It's still going to get built up and created right here in the new structures at Hilton Gardens or whatever hotel may have an event room. It's just that constant heavy traffic in and around the building that's always swirling. You're also going to have the hotels that are right next to the airports. You know, lots of, again, people coming and going, and cabs and movement, and the airplanes, people that are working, traveling back and forth. So again, right in the center of all the movement. Which brings me to, for instance, Idaho Falls. One of our biggest draws is the Snake River, and it's because it's beautiful, and we have the falls right there, and we get so many tourists that come in to see the falls and to see that massive river. So many of our hotels are built on the river. Literally, you know, properties that just butt right up against the banks of the Snake River. Now, mind you, there is, you know, the green belt, so there's a pathway you can walk around. The river just creates and is one big, long, massive natural energy resource that any residual haunt or people that have passed and are stuck in these buildings, that they can draw on. There's an endless supply of natural energy for the ghosts when these hotels are up against the river. Like I said, there's so many. It's great, it's beautiful, but you have the natural energy that they can draw on, which means they can manifest themselves a little more easily. So you may see a few more. They can move things. They can draw on that energy along with everything else that goes on in hotels. So, you know, you need to remember where the placements of the hotels are. I mean, they're just little battery packs. And then once you get these little energy packs where people stay, people die in them. People don't really want to talk about how many people really die in hotels. It's very well known that a lot of people will go to a hotel to end their life. Unfortunately, but they do. You have travelers. Many travelers are middle-aged or older that may be traveling for business. Heart attacks are one of their biggest problems in hotels. One of them. I mean, I can't imagine what it would feel like for the poor people who have had a heart attack, maybe a massive heart attack in the middle of the night, not knowing what happened, and to all of a sudden wake up of sorts and not understand why nobody is hearing you, not understanding why you're not able, why am I still in the hotel? Why did I not go home? Confusion. Unfortunately, there are murders. There are still sketchy things that can happen in hotels other than heart attacks and suicides. A lot of these hotels have their own little bars in the hotels, which is great. If you need a cocktail when you're done working and you just want to relax a minute, you can go down and have a cocktail. What it also brings is a lot of local people, perhaps fights. I know those sorts of things have unfortunately happened around here. And I know this stuff happens because, I mean, one time, just a few years ago, we took my daughter and she took one of her friends. We went to Salt Lake for a concert. We checked into our hotel and stuff, and as we were like leaving to go get something to eat before the concert, the girls were behind us and kind of chit-chatting, and my husband and I were, you know, a little ways in front. I turned around to say something to the girls, and there was a ghost peeking out from one of the doorways. But the ghost just, I mean, all I could see was kind of the head and shoulders, but he was leaning out. So he'd been watching us, or she. And as soon as it saw me, it darted back in. And at that moment, pulled my phone out and I took a photo. There was nothing in the photo, and I'll put the picture in here, but it was just, that's how often it happens. Vegas is probably not a huge surprise for anybody when it comes to hauntings, just because, one, it is known to be the suicide capital of the United States, and I would guess for a number of reasons. You've got the casinos down below the hotel, so you've got that 24/7 energy building down there. You've got the conventions, you've got all the Comic-Con stuff, you've got all the just conventions, everything going on constantly. You've got that energy to draw from if you were a ghost, or residual to be built, and it will build in the walls. A lot of hotels are torn down over time and then they rebuild them when they're obsolete, but you're still building right on top of the old hotels. Deaths, heart attacks, along with the suicide. For instance, Bally's Hotel. Back in 1980, there was a horrible fire, and at that time it was the MGM Grand, and it was the biggest hotel in the world, I believe, at that time. And there was a fire that started in the deli and, in the main floor of the building, and all that smoke rose and went through the air filtration or the air conditioning and filtered into everybody's rooms, and close to 100 people were killed due to smoke inhalation and fumes. And when that was all said and done, what they did was they totally gutted the place that was actually on fire in the main floor and remodeled the upstairs. Then they turned it into Bally's, and people still stay there. It looks good, it looks better, and and there was probably nothing else they could do. I mean, they could have torn it down and rebuilt. You're still going to have all those people that lost their lives to this tragic fire. But you can stay there and rent rooms, and a lot of people do, and it's haunted. There, I don't know what to tell you. It's haunted. We went and stayed at Excalibur one time. Had a good rate, so we stayed there, and it was nice. We had decided one day we were going to eat dinner there, rather than go someplace else, and maybe we were just a little more undecided. But either way, we went up there to see what kind of food they had on the menu and get a drink, and we sat there for maybe 15-20 minutes kind of trying to decide. It was me and my husband and another couple, and as we sat there, the door that we had come in from the hallway, I saw a full-bodied apparition. He was like a misty white color. I keep saying he, but I just mean it in general. So this ghost came walking through those doors and walked straight back to like where the kitchen and the servers and people were going in and out. But, just walked past, and I took note and was like, that was really weird. And we ended up leaving and eating somewhere else, not because of the ghost, but just because we wanted something else, and then we decided we were going to go do other things. But I didn't give it much more thought. I didn't think he had seen me, or noticed, or cared. So we get back later that night, and we're exhausted, so we go to bed. We weren't in bed maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, lights out, just tired from a busy day. And in walks that same ghost, full body, misty white, right from, like, it would have come through the doorway and past the foot of the bed and then up towards my side, you know. And I just kind of, hey, I'm tired, you know, I get it, I see you, I acknowledge you, but I'm tired and I'm gonna go to bed. And it never did bother us again, and it just kind of faded away. So that was the end of it. What or who that was, I'm unsure. What was it, the land built on? Did anybody die? I know people have passed away there. I mean, it's just a given. Could it have just been from the Strip? What I thought was interesting about that particular ghost was it used the doorways, and even in my room, you know, used the doorways. So I thought that was interesting. But anyway, another haunting. I've also heard that the Luxor has a ton of really strange and unusual deaths and activities. So that one I don't know very much about, but I have heard about the Luxor having some creepy paranormal and just peculiar deaths, if I remember right. You know, and that's not even getting down to like the original Strip, down to like Fremont Street and those areas, those hotels and what they've seen. But that is on my bucket list to actually stay downtown down there, just because where did we go into? We went into like the Golden Nugget and stuff, and the whole vibe of that building was just palpable in there. So I would like to go in and actually stay to see what I could pick up, because then you can spend more time and kind of wander around and get a real feel for it. But yeah, Vegas is incredibly haunted, regardless of the bright lights, pretty carpet, you know, excitement and fun. You know, you need to remember when you're wandering around places and going and spending the night, doesn't matter where you're at, whether it's in the United States or around the world, the same things happen with the hotels. We stayed in Rome one time, and I was staying in the room with a good friend of mine, and she had a date. I had stayed in the room. I was like the dorky single friend. I was just hanging out by myself, but they had some other things to do, and so they went and they were out that evening. I stayed behind, and when I shut the light out, I could hear all of a sudden somebody moving around. This person was strong enough to move the plastics in my bag from, like, you know, you keep Ziploc bags or something to put your dirty clothes or shampoo bottles or whatever to keep them from leaking. I could hear him rustling around in the bag. I could hear the zipper, you know, jiggling and changing, but I could hear him moving in the room, and it was like a real solid person, and it was constant. So I flipped the light on, I looked around, couldn't see anybody. I was sure it was a ghost, but I was trying to explain it away because I was in the room by myself, and although most hauntings don't scare me, this was so strong that it did. It scared me. I shut the lights off, tried to go back to sleep, and it all started again. That time I thought, maybe it's rodents. Flip the light back on. And no scampering. Looked around, looked under the bed, no rodent droppings, and it was a nice place. So I cannot even imagine that there was. But when I shut the lights off again, it just all started again. That was really the first time that I had tried to explain away what I knew was a ghost, just because it felt so much like a living human being, not a ghost. That's how strong it was. I slept with the light on that night. My friend came back in the wee hours and wanted to know why I was sleeping with the light on. I was a grown woman sleeping with the light on. So I told her once she was there and with, you know, the light on or whatever, I was finally able to go to sleep, and I was exhausted. The next night it happened again. This time when she came back to the room, I had the TV going and the lights on because it was that loud and annoying, and he didn't care I had the lights. So I just didn't want to hear it. Even though I had the light on and stuff, it was going on. He's like, whatever, I really don't care. I just want to see what you got. And my friend came back again. That was, her first thought was, so, and question was, so, ghost again, sort of thing. Went to sleep. The next morning, she got up and hopped in the shower. And as I waited and, watching TV or whatever I was doing, I don't even remember anymore. It was quite a few years ago. But she peeks out of the bathroom, and it had a sliding door to the bathroom. Anyway, she slid the door open and she said, by the way, I met your ghost. I was like, oh my gosh, so how so? Like, what'd he do to you? And I knew it was a guy. She said that she could hear him in the bathroom and things moving around and the door moving, and I don't remember what was the cupboards, but she knew he was in there. So when she got out, she went through the bathroom and kind of moved the doors and tried to see if she could recreate, kind of debunk what she had heard going on as she was in the shower, and she couldn't do it. And so she came out and said, hey, I met your ghost. That made me feel a little bit better. That was broad daylight in the morning time. This guy, I believe, was probably the oldest ghost, one of them, that I'd ever met. I did meet another really old ghost at that time when I was in Italy. That was an interesting trip. But yeah, so ghosts are everywhere. So the next time you go out and you go on a trip, you get yourself a little hotel room, maybe brand new, maybe a few years old. Take a look around and see what the surroundings are. How much foot traffic, where it's located. Is there a river nearby? What is it drying off of? And is there a ghost in this hotel? I think you would be really surprised, once you start looking around. Anyway, I hope if you do travel, have safe travels. Enjoy your stay at your own little haunted hotel. And I'll talk to you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye. By the way, if you can hear something in the background that sounds like a vacuum cleaner a little bit in the distance, my husband decided he was going to sand the bottom of his boat today. So that's what that noise is. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, that's what that noise is. Talk to you later. Bye.